NFC Championship game, Seattle Seahawks hosting the Los Angeles Rams. They're a 2.5-point favorite. I believe this line opened at like 3.5, and it's now down to 2.5. I saw it at least at 3 at some places here. So interesting game, rematch. The first meeting between these two teams, the Rams won by 2 in a game where neither team really played that well. And then the last game, it was a overtime 2-point conversion win for the Seattle Seahawks. So we get the trilogy here. Really exciting game overall. Probably a better matchup than Patriots Broncos. Still one that I'm like, Sam Darnold. Like, come on, Sam Darnold in the NFC Championship. But anyways, what do you think, Grant?
Well, it's going to be a very good game because their combined scores in their regular season matchups was 58-57. The Rams win by 2 points in week, 11 or so. And then the Seahawks win by 1 point in overtime in week 16. So very close games. What is very interesting about it is in the Rams win, Stafford had 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. In their loss, he had 457 yards and 3 touchdowns. It's like, how does that even happen? Well, the answer is Sam Darnold had 4 interceptions in the first meeting. And by the way, they still kicked a 61-yard field goal with 1 second left as time expired. They missed it, but if they made it, they would have won that game, and it would have been 2 wins by 1 point for them in the regular season meetings. These teams are incredibly evenly matched. The Rams have one of, if not the best offense in the NFL. I think it would be safe to say they do have the best offense. The Seahawks top 2 defense, I think it's them in Houston. And with respect to the Broncos, who's also very good, I think Denver's 3rd, and it's the Seahawks battling for that top 2 spot. So I think this is going to be an extremely close game. Just taking everything else out of it, the Rams at plus 2.5, both wins have come by 2 or fewer points so far. So, like, right off the bat, it already seems like there's some value with the Rams there just because these games have been so close.
Yeah, they've been really close. And I think this is probably going to be, let me see, I would put this one as the second best game. We can't beat what happened in the last game, obviously. Overtime, we had a punt return. Like, there was just so many magical things about that win for the Seattle Seahawks. One that, they were probably, I bet, 12-1 on the money line at least. I mean, they were dead in the water, and obviously everything kind of happened that they needed to happen to win the game. This one, I think, probably the second best game of the two. And I think we're going to see a really good Matthew Stafford game. That's what I'm really looking for. The one thing that Stafford's been able to do, at least we saw it in the last meeting, he picked apart the Seattle Seahawks defense. So if Stafford is picking apart the Seattle Seahawks defense and the Rams can kind of play like they did on defense, at least last week against the Chicago Bears, they played pretty well. They kept the Rams in the game, made some big turnovers there. If they do that, I don't see a world where the Rams don't win this game because, like, in the playoffs, it's all about quarterbacks. Defenses are great, obviously, and defenses can carry you to the Super Bowl. But it's about moments and quarterbacks and big drives. Like Matthew Stafford, you go back to the Panthers game. When he had the ball in his hands, he needed to put it in the end zone, was able to do it. When he had the ball in his hands against the Bears, got to drive the team down the field to win the game, he was able to do it. I don't have that same confidence in Sam Darnold. And there's going to be a moment in this game where the quarterback's going to have to make plays. And that's why I think the Rams are better suited to win it.
I feel very similarly about Sam Darnold, and not to say that he hasn't. Sam Darnold does deserve praise for things he's done. People take this stuff too far. When you say, oh, I don't think this guy is the best player I've ever seen, someone else will turn around and say, oh, so you say he sucks. Like, no, that's not what I said. But when it comes down to a throw for throw, big moment for big moment in the fourth quarter game with Matthew Stafford, who's going to win his first MVP, I mean, that ball, it's going viral on Twitter right now. But Stafford throwing that out route to Devontae Adams in overtime, where it's just totally cross field, feet facing the wrong way on the money. That's the type of stuff where Stafford was not having a great game. Now, I don't think he was bad. Like, his numbers weren't amazing, but the snow played into that, obviously. But for him to just turn it on and conjure that moment of magic, that's something he can do. And the Seahawks, again, top 2 defense in the NFL. Stafford had 457 and 3 touchdowns the last time he saw them. That's while completing just 50% of his passes in that game. So if that's what he can do, when he needs to have that moment, he will have it. With Sam Darnold, he might have it. He might throw an interception. Like, it's like Carson Beck in the national championship game. That drive starts, Carson Beck is going bam, bam, bam. It looks surgical. This is the perfect way to cap off a 6-year career when you're on the bench for Georgia's national championships, and then you tear UCL in the conference championship, and you transfer, and Miami's in the natty, and it's bam, bam, bam down the field, and then all of a sudden there's the interception and the game's over. Like that timeline exists with Sam Darnold. I don't think that timeline exists with Matt Stafford.
That Carson Beck throw, can't make that. Like, that was a terrible throw. But I agree. I think it's very similar. And I think the one downside to having a really good defense as a quarterback when you're not the best quarterback in the world, like Sam Darnold, good enough to win games. Obviously, he's proven that. But like he was good enough to win games in Minnesota too. The Vikings had a good team when Sam Darnold was there, but it wasn't a championship team. So my fear here, like when you have a good defense, and even the last 3 weeks, right? So you look at what Darnold had to do against the Niners both past 2 weeks, and then the Carolina Panthers 27-10 win there. Like he didn't have to do anything special. 147, 198, 124 yards in those 3 games. And that's not a good thing because it takes you out of those moments where Matthew Stafford pretty much had to be special almost every week. There's that big throw, like you were talking about, obviously, Devontae Adams. Like, as bad as he completed under 50% of his passes, he still was able to make the throw. And I have my fears here, like for Sam Darnold, you haven't been in it all year. You haven't had to make the big throws. Either the Seahawks were blowing teams out for the most part, or the defense was just winning games. Like it wasn't really, they didn't have a ton of close games where it's like Sam Darnold was the difference maker here. And as you get to the NFC Championship and then to the Super Bowl, you're going to have that moment. And I just don't believe in him. I'm sorry. I don't believe in Sam Darnold. I don't think he can get it done.
Well, on the flip side of everything that we've been saying, the Seahawks defense is outstanding. And if the Rams don't get rolling from the start, their defense did step up last weekend, but we talked about it. We've been waiting for the Rams to like pour it on defensively. And since I think week 13 is when it started, I think it was that first Panthers game. From that point on through the wild card, the Rams defense had been pretty poor. So you did see them bounce back against the Bears, and they forced the interceptions. They gave up a lot of rushing yards, but they also had very explosive plays on defense against the run, a couple fourth down stops, a couple big tackles for losses. So if this game does start in Seattle's favor, LA's defense doesn't show up, Seahawks go up 7-0, 10-3, something like that, that's probably the path that the Seahawks take to win this game. And if that does happen, then I could easily say, yeah, I see them winning this game because Stafford is going to have to be magical down the stretch, and he can be, but that's really tough to do against maybe the best defense in the NFL.
No Zach Charbonnet either, just to note. He had knee injury, season-ending knee injury. Not that he was the feature guy. I would rather have Kenneth Walker than Charbonnet, but definitely a good number 2 running back that they used a lot that's going to make an impact on Seattle here. So that's another knock against the Seahawks, and the fact that the Rams couldn't stop the run last week. This definitely helps them be able to stop the run this week.
Yeah, Emmanuel Forbes also is expected to play for the Rams, but I mean, Ahkello Witherspoon is on IR. Forbes has a shoulder thing, so if he takes the wrong hit, maybe the Rams are down a couple of corners in this game. And when Forbes is on the field, he's 140 pounds. You're playing 10 on 11 against the run. So if Kenneth Walker gets rolling, that will be big for Seattle.
Now, one thing I'm really surprised with looking at the bets and the money on this game, I would have thought that actually LA would have been like the public team, but it's Seattle. 80% of the bets, 86% of the money for the spread coming in on the Seattle Seahawks on FanDuel right now. Seattle is 13-5 against the spread this year. LA is 12-7. Are you a little surprised by that the public's backing Sam Darnold at home or no?
It's not even that. It's 80% of bets, 86% of the money. That's shocking because that's like they're saying they think it's overwhelming. And maybe it's people taking the 2.5, right? Spotting it, say if a team wins, it's usually by 3+. So maybe that's what they're rolling with, but that's a lot.
It's a lot. That's more than the Patriots. I mean, Patriots getting 81% of the bets, 86% of the money. So I guess it's right on with the Patriots going against the backup quarterback. And I don't know. I feel like you got to trust the MVP in this spot. I think I trust the MVP to manipulate the Seattle Seahawks defense more than I do Sam Darnold to get to the Rams and put enough pressure on Matthew Stafford where he's going to crumble in this game.
Also, one thing we haven't talked about is the coaching battle. And this is not at all to disrespect Mike McDonald, because before he got a head coaching job in Seattle, I said he was a top 3 defensive mind in the NFL. still feel that way. Had no reason to change. The guy is super, super smart. He does not have Sean McVay's level experience. That's just a fact. McVay, I mean, he says the game against the Bears has just ended. He should be on cloud nine. And they ask him a question. He says, well, there's some things that I didn't do well. And he goes over it. But that level of accountability and being able to self-evaluate and talk about how you're going to improve when you should be feeling the emotions of an overtime win on the road. Sean McVay, there's a reason everybody hires a young coach to find the next Sean McVay. Sean McVay is Sean McVay. Everyone's trying to find a copy of him. Seahawks might have their guy in Mike McDonald, but he hasn't been in this moment before. McVay has.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be an interesting game. I'm going to take the Rams here for sure. +2.5 money line. I think they're just the better team overall. And that's the reason I'm going to do it. I don't trust Sam Darnold in the big spot. I trust Seattle Seahawks defense, but I know that Matthew Stafford's not going to be confused. And that's the biggest thing. And the fact that we already have a data point where he did have a lot of success against the Seahawks to a point where they couldn't stop him, that should only build the Rams' confidence coming into this game, building off a big defensive game too against the Bears, a good offense in the Bears, one that's very explosive. They were able to make the critical stops. I think this is just set up for Matthew Stafford versus Drake May to win the Super Bowl.
I'll take the Rams at +2.5 because the Seahawks might win because Stafford was brilliant in that last game and they still lost. But every game has been decided by, I mean, it's 1 point in the first one. No, 2 in the first one, 1 in the second one. So I'll take Rams at +2.5 to be safe, although I do think they will win as well.